This meeting is being live streamed. Got it. Good. Seems like that worked.
I gotta check. There's a delay, so. And I'm gonna.
This meeting is being live streamed. Got it.
Okay, I gotta mute that.
Good. Seems like that worked. That was some pretty good delay in my audio there. Oh, that was the live stream playing it. I see. I guess I'm going to put us in gallery view here. How does that work? How do I make all the people big? There we go. Okay, there we go. It looks like she's concentrating.
You can entertain us, Mark, while you might.
This is my studio, or at least half of it. See all the unused brushes piled up. I hardly ever throw out brushes, so you end up with a lot, don't you?
And the painting at the back is the one that won a prize, was it?
Yes, this big giant.
Yeah. It's massive, yeah.
Yeah,
Wow.
I'm not sure why they like that one. It's kind of it's very dark, but anyway, that was flattering.
Yeah, I'm not sure I would like it on my wall. It's absolutely beautiful, but wouldn't like to have it looking at me while I'm eating my dinner. If you don't mind me saying, but it's fantastic. It's a fantastic piece of work. Yeah. Wow. No.
I always wanted to, I had an instructor in college that did these big murals for Dinosaur Museum near us, Drumheller, Alberta. So I always wanted to do one of those giant anthropological or paleontological science illustrations. This is not very scientific, this one. But I don't think you'd ever find these giant fish and piranhas in the same place. The orange guys are little piranhas eating the bigger fish.
Oh, the big fish. Okay, yeah. Yes. It says, Uma, it says upcoming when I go to your YouTube.
I've changed the link that was not connecting, so I made a new live stream and I posted it on Facebook now.
Okay.
Well, you guys are the test group.
Oh yeah, I can see Mark.
Yeah. It's kind of amazing this even works at all, that we can get the YouTube integration.
So are we supposed to, I just joined a few minutes ago. Are we supposed to go to Facebook and click on something?
No, we're all good here. Uma is just hooking up right now to stream everything we talk at the same time out to the people.
Okay.
So the people who didn't register but want to just watch it will be able to watch it on YouTube.
Okay, sounds good.
So
Thank
you
you.
should have gotten a little you are being recorded pop-up. So you've authorized us to YouTube you.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that's fine.
You have something sculptural behind you, Yvonne. It's like this red belt or something hanging from a hook. It reminds me of these things in a video where they circle something and say, they put the little red circle, like, look at that spot.
That's my winter bicycle tire. Because you put it on the trainer and then you can chew through a tire really fast, an expensive tire. So you put the trainer,
really?
That way you put that in there for the winter because the snow's here. I'm not gonna ride outside. It's so cold and yucky. So you switch back and forth. So then when it's summer, I hang it.
Fascinating.
I'm good to go, Mark. No.
Okay, we're ready. We're all hooked up. Okay, so we're broadcasting. I don't see all 15 people, do I? maybe that's just because of Zoom. So I'm seeing a screen full at a time.
No, we have 11, including 2 of us. So only 9 have logged in.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Well, we'll carry on, I guess. And then the others.
I'll keep admitting, Uma. So
Yeah.
Thank you.
There's some of
Thank
us.
you.
So people, it looks like people will come in as they come in. Yeah. All right. So we've got, so we're going to go for, I don't know, an hour, 90 minutes this morning. Doesn't really, we don't have a strict deadline, but I think a good format would be to give everybody just a little bit of time to introduce themselves, and as we go through the names, and we'll do this show and tell thing. So hopefully you've got your pieces next to you, and what we'll ask is that you try to be brief, but tell us your story. Like take like 3 minutes, or 5 minutes, maybe 3 minutes is good. Tell us what is it that you learned? What was your big insight, and show us the piece that you loved the most about the thing. And then if you want, we can give some feedback. And so what we did last time, which seemed to work, is we'll do it in batches. So I'll do 5 people, and then Uma will do 5 people, and we'll rotate like that. So I'll call you guys out on my list, and you can show us your stuff. So the first person I have here is Mary Helen. You're the first on the list.
Hi.
Hi.
I'm always the first person to log into anything anyway. So hi, sorry.
How did you do that?
Sorry?
I think Uma just made you big.
She
That's
did,
great.
yeah. It was a bit of a shock.
Okay.
Hello.
Okay, good. All right, great. Excellent. So where are you? And tell
So,
us
yeah,
about-
I'm Marie-Hélène. I'm in Dublin, in Ireland. And well, I've been doing this challenge, I think, since it started a good few years ago. So I think the thing for me this year is that I was traveling, I was visiting my parents, so I didn't really have the time to get into it as I normally do. I would normally have 3 or 4 done before the start, always ahead and planning. But so I had to kind of let go a little bit, and that was interesting for me. And once I got into it, it was like there was extra energy, so that was great. So thank you.
So what are you going to show us?
Oh yes, okay, behind me. So I've been working in a sketchbook.
Lovely
Can you
size.
see that okay? Yeah, it's an A4, yeah.
Yeah.
And Etcher Perfect sketchbook, kind of, which, lovely paper. And maybe I'll just get the light going a little bit better.
I think that's Fabriano paper, I believe, right?
I have no idea. I don't know. I don't particularly like the Fabriano paper normally, so I don't know.
Okay.
If
All right.
but it's good. It's good thick paper, and it works well. So when I was in Belgium visiting my parents, I found all these shops that had interesting kind of windows, plants, and all the rest. So I took loads of photos, and when I came back, I started painting them. And and that's not the kind of thing I normally paint. I'm normally landscape, seaside, sea, sky, rocks.
Well, I love the leaf shapes, particularly in this this one giant potted plant we have in front of us. But the sharp edges you have on the leaf shapes and the cast shadows really work. I get that 3-dimensional layered sense of the leaves, and a bit of light on them, and the variation in the green. So it's not all just one green, but subtle shades of green. These are great. These are working great. Really makes the plant the star, along with the mixed still life. Looks like you used a nice big brush.
Yeah, it was just a Rosemary and Co travel brush. Not,
Oh, really? Okay.
Not particularly big. No, kind of smaller than what I normally would use. But the one I would use when I travel. So I'm trying to get a bit.
Oh, well, that's great. It's really impressive for a small brush, because it doesn't look like it's good that it's not too fiddly. I like what you said about how you were out of time.
Yeah, I was using my usual palettes.
Yes, same set I use.
Yeah. So it was fun. Yeah.
When you're pressed for time and circumstance, sometimes that's someone forcing you to go a little faster, or take less pains is sometimes what we need, I think.
Yes, definitely. So but that's what I've continued doing, and I've done some on location. There was a plein air festival, so then I got absorbed into boats. I'll show you a second one. So did boats, kind of kind of completely
Boats are
different
always chaos, right?
style.
They're like such a hard shape to draw. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
I think
I like the middle red one the best there. I mean, they're all great. The one next to it looks like a houseboat maybe or something.
yeah, it's the only one that actually looks like a boat. The one in the middle, I don't know what the thing at the back of
Well, the blue one looks like a boat. Yeah, and the one in the middle is sometimes reality does that. It's like, this is a weird looking boat, so it's hard to draw it right.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then all the dealing with all the masts is always chaos. So I like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'll show you one more. And so still the same boat, still in that harbor the whole morning. And then these guys were cleaning the boat. So I started with a drawing and kind of a bit of water-soluble graphite just to get a sense of it.
Right.
And then I went to kind of direct watercolor then.
To warm up one, and then you've got the scene.
Just to get the volumes and an idea of kind of where I wanted things to be placed. And
you want a piece of criticism?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Helpful criticism. The thing I always sort of think about is these white edges around the people. So where the color comes right up to the people. So that's the point that, I mean, it's drawing my eye to them so they look a little cut out. So that it's tricky, right? If they're wet, how do I bring the edges together? So I know that's difficult. So when I do these kind of things, that's why sometimes I have to use a little pencil, even though I'm trying to be direct. So then I can let the boat dry and then paint the people, or vice versa, right?
Yeah.
So if I sketch the people, but if you, when you're coming right up to them with the color of the boat, that's the point to slow down and get the lines to meet. But anyway.
Or just have kind of on one side rather than all around, kind of maybe giving a sense where the light is coming from.
Is it just on the top edges? And like on the man who's on my right, he's leaning over, his shoulder is lit, which is kind of nice, using them to show the upper side. But on the other guy, the light just kind of goes all the way around.
It's kind of a whole halo around,
Not to scare everybody with critiques. If you don't want to critique, just say, no, I'm just enjoying it.
No, happy to hear what you have to say. That's great. Thank you.
All right, that's your 5 minutes. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for showing. All right, who do I have next? Okay, so welcome everybody, and that's kind of going to be the format. A little quick show and tell. Thank you, Marie. So do we have Carla out here? Carla Freudsheim.
Yes, hello. My name is Carla. I'm from Germany.
Hi. Yes. Did I get your name close?
Pardon?
Freudsheim?
Yes, it's absolutely correct.
Yeah, very good. Phew.
I'm participating, I think, the 4th year. And I remember the first year I did it, I chose a theme. I painted trees. And I think the next 2 years I didn't have a theme, because then I started a virtual bicycle tour around latitude 51, and I integrated this in this challenge. So I had some sketches from this virtual bicycle tour. And this year, I also don't have a lot of time currently, because I'm a programmer, and currently I have a lot to do. And I chose to do something that really doesn't take a lot of time. I'm doing some experiments. Okay. I'm using old book pages. These are books from my grandparents' home, and this old paper is really great, because you can use a lot of paint, and it almost doesn't seep through. Wow! And what I did is I did only bold strokes, but not with a brush, but with a palette knife and gouache. And then I used liquid watercolor, dripping into the still wet gouache, and this makes this great color mixing. and also the printing, looking through.
Yeah, it's fascinating. Now, this is very interesting. I love to see something so experimental. It's a great way to solve your time problem as well, right? So it's very clever that you have this method or strict structure, right? So they used to call it, when I was in art school, this is like a process. You just say, almost like automation, like process automation.
Yeah.
You say, these are the rules for my project and I won't go outside these rules. So that, very good solution. And it's fascinating to me, these are your family's books, because that brings an added layer of meaning to it. That's very interesting.
Yeah. And these books, the interesting thing is they stood in a room where a bomb crashed in, and there are many little holes in the books.
Wow. Yeah. So there's all this history. It actually really says quite a bit about this whole idea. Like, soon there won't be that many historical printed books, right? Like the majority of our books now are ebooks. For everyone, but on a global scale, the majority of books are electronic. So the fact that you have this relic, this has got all this interesting meaning really built into it. It's very clever. I definitely like it. And then on the watercolor level, it's just beautiful color and exuberance. So that's nice. Yeah.
Yes, and I experimented every day with different colors. This was one from another day.
Mm-hmm.
Also combining one or two of the from the liquid watercolor, one or two colors with gouache, and it makes very, very interesting mixings.
Can I just say, someone's got the sound up, and I can hear the echo of my voice from the stream. So you don't. If you're not talking, maybe mute yourself, and then you can unmute when it's your turn. So thank you. That is really great to see the experiment. That's what I like about this team thing, is people will come up with something that you never would have thought of, and then maybe you can try it, right? So I'm sure you've seen other people do these things in books and thought, this is my chance to try it, right? So it goes on like our list of, now here's the thing we can try one day when we have the opportunity, So and did you? Are you going to do something with it? Do a little show of these, perhaps?
I think so, because we have I'm member in the little gallery, and we have an exhibition in I think in September we will do it, and
that's perfect, because they have.
I think I will show them on this exhibition. Yes.
Yeah, it's perfect because they have this contained theme. So they make I very much enjoy a project that generates a show. Then we do our thing, and from it we have a single exhibition. So congratulations.
It fits. I think it fits to the theme, because the theme will be lost places, and all these books. The house of my grandparents is still existing. But my grandparents are dead, so it's some kind of a lost place for me.
Yeah, it's very good. Yes. The theme comes together very well. Thank you, Carla. That was very interesting. Lovely to see.
Thank you.
Okay, so thank you. Sorry to rush you, but we'll get through everybody. So that was very interesting. Next name I have is Mira. So Mira Rao.
Yes. Hi. I have done this, I think, ever since the first time.
Very good.
Every year. And first time I didn't do as many, but the rest of the time I've been able to do all 30, and I've been very happy. And this year, back to not being able to do them all. So I've done 11, but busy with the company and grandkids and all of that. So I'll show you the ones that I'm not happy with first, and then maybe you can tell me about it. I don't know, can you see the whole thing?
This is the Capitol, it looks like, the U.S.
Yes.
Capitol. So what is it that you don't?
The monument, Washington, D.C. monument.
Yeah. What is it that you like?
I took the picture from the steps.
Yes.
Of Lincoln Memorial.
Yeah. So we, you definitely feel
and
the
I
place.
had some issues with the paper, the sizing, where I was doing this, these two parts, and it just, the more I tried to fix it, the more it became a mess.
Yes, it can be difficult.
And I then decided I was going to just do direct people
Yeah.
on the thing, and that's the part I really like. So this is the one that I did
enjoy
email.
the little people with their shadows connecting them to the ground.
Yes.
That gives a certain dimensionality, and the fact it's some kind of beautiful sunny day, so everything is a bit washed out from the sun, right?
Yes, it was a very, very sunny day, very bright, and we were there around noon, I would say, a little afternoon, or so. It was pretty.
So what a photographer would do is underexpose or overexpose, whatever. They would adjust the exposure. I'm not a photographer to tell you how, but they would adjust the exposure to lower the light value when it's so bright, right? So that's underexposed.
Yeah, but you know, it was just, this was the first place I started. And when it didn't go right, I was not in the mood to finish it. Yeah. So what tips do you have to do a mass of green like that, trees?
Well, I like to, so you could do more variation within the green. I like to try to find ways to add warm colors in. So I'll put some oranges even, or I'll use this quinacridone orange, or quinacridone, what do they call that color? Anyway, these bright burnt siennas, they're like bright, clear kind of warms. Because when you touch them tip them into the green wash, they'll flood in there. And then it's like some browned leaves maybe, or a bit of bark on the tree showing, right? So we like to have I think we like to have variation within a wash. So that's, I'd like
do you wet the paper to do that first, or do you,
I like to wet each area I'm working on. So then but I wet it by laying down the color. So the first piece of tree and the second piece of tree and the third piece of tree, every time I'm adding the next piece of tree, then I might subtly change my green. So I've got a base puddle of green, but then I might add a little yellow to it or add a little blue to it. So then each of those tree chunks, it's like a puzzle, right? You click one bit of tree, the next one touches it, and the next one touches it, the next one touches it. And then the tree shapes will merge and become a solid shape, right? So, but the trick is every time I go back for more color, then I change the color. So it's not the same green, right? But
okay,
so
yeah, I think I tried kind of.
That's exactly. That. Yes. So there you've got much more other colors besides green inside the green. That is exactly what I'm talking about. Yeah. And you had kept some whites.
This worked out pretty good. The paper was okay. In this one, I didn't have any issues with it. It's 10 by 14.
Yeah. So you see exactly, you already know exactly what to do.
Okay.
Right
but
there.
I still had a hard time doing it with the other one. Right. And my whole theme was with something to do with water. I was trying to do things that had some water in it. And this was a driftwood that I did.
Yeah, see, that's interesting to me because it combines watercolor with brush drawing. And so that's what's fun. I enjoy that. All the little textured calligraphy in there is fascinating to look at.
Yes.
Yeah, I like that one. I like that.
I think that's what I'm trying to, going more along with learning that. No, this was my very first one. We live in a waterman, where there are a lot of watermen around here.
That fishing net is a difficult subject to try to. I mean, I know from the context, so maybe that's good that we know because of the scene what's going on, and not trying to get in and render a fishing net maybe safe to painting in a way, because it would be crazy, right? To try and get all those details. Yeah, my favorite is the driftwood. Thank you. That one I like. It has a lot of character, a lot of description. Yeah. Good work. Okay, and
thanks. Thank you very much. This has been fun. Thank you for
participating. Great to see people that are doing it multiple years. I mean, it's good that you guys are coming back. So Martine, Clave, Out there, Martine, I guess when I call for Martine, is Uma going to put her face up? Is that how it works? Well, she's not in. Okay, so Uma's giving me the signal that she's not here. Do we have Bina? What's the next name? No, Bina. How about Kate Burrows? Okay, how about David Reynolds? No. What? Drop it.
I'm here.
Oh, David's here.
Dave's here.
David's here. That's thumbs up.
Oh, hi.
Okay.
You ready? I've
Yep.
been doing this, I think 3 years, I'm not sure. And I guess the thing that I got the most out of this is deciding halfway through that I was just gonna screw it and just have fun painting.
Yes.
And so,
that's nice.
so that made it a lot easier. And anyway,
That's-
I'll show you my painting.
Can I see the point where you said decided that?
Oh, where I did?
What's the one that after you said that's it, screw it? Yeah.
I don't know if there was a particular point that I did it. I had to do a lot of chores around the house, and so I was painting at 7 o'clock at night. And
Right.
so it was it's hard to get an idea of what to paint. And so I just started.
So we get the studio painting. That's a classic artist trick.
Yes.
Yeah.
And so this is my least liked painting. So I decided I'd put it up and see what. Well, I like this particularly. I like the abstract look of it. But
So the problem with like a still life and what kind of story do we want to tell? And so then you're saying I have to paint today. This is what's in front of me, and we do get a bit of like a random collection, right? So
Yes.
I mean, if I was an art critic, I'd be saying what is the story of this painting? So it's kind of nice that it's just casual. It's just your life. It looks like a computer keyboard in the center.
yes, computer
an old
and
radio.
monitor in the back, bunch
Yeah.
of brushes.
Oh yeah, that's your computer in the back. I see, because you're so often looking at a picture on the monitor.
This is
Yeah.
more or less about yeah.
Yeah.
So
So I
anyway,
mean, thematically, it might be good to pick something,
Okay.
but as just a diary, it's kind of neat that we just see a slice of your life, right? So then we have to decide which do we like. If that's what we like, then that's what we like. Compositionally, there's a little bit of problem for me with the brushes and the monitor stand. The way the brushes come in front of the monitor stand. So I would have cheated somehow, like made the monitor stand lighter somehow, or made the brushes, one of them should be not black so they can separate, right?
yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I just did that just because it was easy. I made them darker. I was just painting parts and then adding together. I wasn't even trying.
Yeah. But not to be critical. What I do like is the palette and is that called a hake brush, the big square and the brush and the palette. So I like to see the watercolor on your desk there. That's neat. Yeah. What's in the very, very bottom? Is that your feet from?
Those are my feet.
Yes, so that's funny. That's funny you put that in, because I see that in my photos all the time. My two little feet when I'm taking a picture of my art.
Well, one of the things I like, the thing most important on my paintings is that they're interesting. So
Yeah, so that tells a good story. And actually, I'm actually now kind of liking that you painted the icons on the desktop as well, like the little folders and a bit of texture to the folders. So it really does, when the more you look at it, the more it really is a capture of your actual desk, right?
yeah.
So those small details, they bring some life to it, right?
Yeah.
This is the kind of urban sketching that when you tell the story of how I'm doing this marathon and I have to get a painting today and I just painted what's in front of me, it makes the painting better when it goes with the story, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, like the journaling kind of idea. Yeah. Is your paper actually also not square? Or is that just me? It looks like it.
No, that's just because my camera's at an angle.
Okay, all right. I was wondering if it was even, you just used
No,
paper,
this
not
is-
even cut square. Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, this is just yeah.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, so that's fresh. Yeah.
yeah. This is I don't know. Like I said, this is the least liked photo I had in the thing.
I also want to say it's funny. I do these kind of things too. That you have a computer and watercolor and a radio. So you're right in front of the computer, but you listen to the radio, which
Yeah.
is great, right? That's part of your personality and the way our lives have changed. All these things of levels of technology come through our life. Some
Yeah.
kids would be like, he's sitting in front of the computer and he's got a radio. What's going on? So that adds a lot to the painting.
Yeah.
When you look at it. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm a messy person, so this really says this is more about me than my desk. So
Yeah. I don't know if you have kids, but they'll like to inherit this. If you have kids.
no, unfortunately, no, I don't have kids. I have rowdy dogs, but that's it. So
Okay, well, that's all right too. That's the same thing.
yeah. All right.
All right, well, thanks. Thanks,
Thank
David.
you. Thank you, Mark. Thanks, Uma.
All right, and this point you made about arriving at the time where you just said, screw it, I'm going to have fun. That is for me the best time in the marathon. That's when I'm breaking through. You're tired enough that now you're free. Okay, so Mirel. I have Mirel
Yes,
Hulot.
Mireille Gulot.
Hulot. Nice to meet you. Okay, introduce yourself.
I'm French and my English is very bad. It's very difficult for me to understand Mark and others too.
Désolé.
But I try to participate.
I'm sorry, I'm just about to take French lessons starting next week. Yeah, you're thinking. I'm just saying we live in Quebec, in Montreal, and I am just going to take French lessons starting next week. Okay, show us your drawings. Okay, all right.
I started working on trees in January.
Beautiful.
And 6 months for trees. And this month, my goal was to finish this project, to finish with trees. My goal was to do difficult things for me. Nice. I like difficult things. Then I try to use a negative painting, to use a counter change, to work on composition. And I'm happy with the result, but I'm not happy with my process. Okay. I would like it to be easy, but it's difficult.
I remember your studies, the preparation. You did small one to build up to this, which was very interesting to see on the website. So I remember all the steps you took. So perhaps eventually it will be more natural. Yeah, but
yes,
yeah.
Days after days, it's easier.
Yes, so I like that you take on this challenge to do something that's difficult. So this is an opportunity in the marathon where maybe push ourselves. So it's inspiring to see other people who do that. Yeah. Do you have some more of these series? Yes, okay.
I also work on composition. Then I choose to change the dominant color each day. Then this month I realize 15 trees.
Very good.
2 days for a tree.
Yeah.
And each day a different color.
Very good.
And I try to use 2 colors, one color and a complementary color.
So now when you do a different painting, you will have this knowledge of painting trees. Whenever they appear in the background, you can add this type of approach, right? This type of handling.
For me, foliage is not very interesting. I prefer working on the branches. I love when branches blend with background.
Yes, sometimes here in Montreal, I'm waiting for the leaves to fall so you can see the buildings behind the trees. So you can see through the tree and what's on the other side. Yeah.
But I work on a nature, then no buildings
Yes. Yeah.
for me.
Yeah.
Just trees.
And you chose not to use a resist.
To use a
Resist, the latex, what would they call masking?
Masking fluid.
no,
Fluid? Yeah.
no.
So this was your choice. You
Yes.
said no masking, which I like. I agree, because it's too technical, too artificial. So many people would do that to keep the white branches, but instead you are learning just to draw around them. So that's admirable. Yeah.
No masking and no drawing. Then I have to think, always think, not what I paint, but when I live.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. It's that goes very well with this subject, but it's a great skill to learn for anything. Yeah. Yeah.
It's a new way of thinking, and it's very hard, but week after week, day after day, it's easier.
Very good. Very good. That's what I like to hear. It's proof of the formula, proof of the recipe that it works. Success. Yeah. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay, so Uma, what do you think? We got about halfway through our attendance today. So do you want to switch over and we can hear your critiques?
Sure thing. I'm happy to do it. I wanted to mention to the lady, I'm going to mispronounce her name so I don't, the French lady who did the waterfalls last year and then did the trees. The process does get a bit easy, but it's not supposed to get easiest. In the sense, if it gets too easy, it becomes boring. And when it gets boring, we lose interest. And then when we lose interest, we make paintings that have no emotions, at least for me. So your work is great, and I can see hard work in it. I just love it. So thank you for coming. To Mira, I wanted to say, if the paper wasn't working, why struggle with it? Gravity, paper, physics, stuff that's out of our hands, we have to give ourselves permissions to say, hey, I'm not going to fight this battle. Change the paper and move on, because otherwise you'll just add to the frustration, and you're worth more than that. Welcome, Ginger.
Hey, well, hello, Uma. Hi, Mark. Hello, everyone. So I thank you both for doing this. This is the challenge that I actually stay with. I've done it since the beginning. And I love it because it makes me paint every day, or at least every day that I can, and see the sort of where I sort of fall into patterns, if I like those patterns, if I want to break the patterns. And so this month has been a sort of mixing of things I learned and worked on in Compose with you, Uma, in January. And I find that I stopped a couple days just to think about where I was and what I wanted to change. And so I'm going to put this painting up of my pond with actually my fish German swimming through. This was a bigger piece, and I ended up chopping it in half, or 2/3, to improve the composition. But what I really enjoyed about this was working in sort of variations within dark.
Yeah.
Like in the water, and sort of different kind of edges. You know, it's work in progress. It's not all the way there, but this was one of the pieces I sort of felt some breakthroughs on.
Yeah, and dark, and big amounts of dark. So you definitely made a lot of paint in your palette, which is confident. So it shows. Yeah.
So, yeah, so that, and And this one where I'd stopped a couple days prior to this, feeling like I'd gotten into a rut with color. Yeah, the sort of the green, gold, purple thing is is where I fall back to. And I thought, try something new. And I threw down the orange, like I threw down the orange and some green and a little blue the first day and thought about it, and then just went back and worked over it. I think one of the reasons this went well is I did a lot of thinking about the shapes after that first lay on of color. So I think that was one of the reasons this felt better. And I think that I thought about it for a while. Why did this one feel so right? And I think the pre-planning in my head, thinking about the shapes, made a
Thank
difference.
you for sharing that, because this planning and this planning is important, but when somebody else says it without having prompted them, that really confirms the idea of making the two trees come so close. That tells me you really did think about them. You wanted about the shapes and the division of space. So your thought shows, and it's very bold. Awesome. And that hint of purple. Oh yeah.
Yeah, that I'm glad I thought about the colors, and again, sticking with what would have been comfortable, which would be a more blue and less purple.
Yeah.
But yeah, I and letting go things like the orange bled over here, and I thought, fine, let it go. And I maybe just added a little bit more orange on top to do some trunks.
That's right.
Yeah,
That's
I
right.
kind of just thought, don't worry about what happened, just keep going.
Yes, absolutely.
So yes, and the ones that didn't come out so well and that I struggled with were ones that I was getting too, there were things I liked about this, but overall it was just like too fussy, and it, I took the tape off and then went back again, and yeah, it was about learning. The value I think this time is that I didn't worry about did I love every painting. If part of things went well, but I didn't like it all, fine. I flipped the paper over and just thought of it like classwork all month. Like
that's right. So. That's right. Yeah, this is fantastic. It was fantastic. I'm not sure this was all good. I don't know if you were seeking any critique, or if not, yeah.
Yeah, I would love critique. So
okay, in this piece you already know the issue.
Yeah.
Okay, tell me the issue.
I think it lacks any kind of real focus or definition. The only part that feels focused is this little part of the reflection. I feel like it needs some resolution in this area. And I feel like this got too fussy. Yeah, I haven't come back to it, but I keep looking at it. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So for me, right away, it's a matter of putting two rectangles. It's a T-shaped sort of. There's a big rectangle on the top, and the pathway is, not the pathway, the light colored waterway. It's too stable. It's too stable in the sense your brushwork is trying to say it's dynamic. You want to move. Your brushwork is rapid and it's trying to move, but it's two very solid shapes that are stopping it. So you got to change the angles of these outlines of these shapes.
Right.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. It has to become more diagonal. The more the diagonal, the more the energy. Exactly. You're right. And the bottom left, my bottom left, there's this white space. It has nothing to do with painting, but there's a sharp move your finger to your right. To your right. Yeah. That right where your thumb is, your finger is. Yeah. There is a huge contrast there. It's so much that is bothering me. That light, you have to kill that light. Kill that light.
Yes.
When you kill that light, your eye goes in, because right now my eye was not even proceeding from up.
Got it. Yeah.
Now I'm in the middle ground and I can go up and come back. Sort of because of brush strokes. Yeah.
Okay, great. Because this one's been bugging me because there are things I love about it, but you're right, that really kills it right in there.
Yeah.
All right,
yeah,
thank you so much.
Yay! Thank you so much for joining in, and thank you also for encouraging other people. We are just two people, so we do need the community aspect to help other people goad, and nobody shares frustration. So if you're frustrated on that day, none of you were passing that frustration on to other people, which is really, really important. Thank you. Next up is Pao.
Hi, I'm Pao from Thailand. This is the first time I joined direct watercolor. It's actually very fun. I haven't been painting for some time, so this is great. And so I decided, because I don't have a lot of time, so I decided to paint small. So I just paint in this A5 Perfect sketchbook. It's a great opportunity. When I bought it for some time before, and I didn't dare to use it because it's too perfect. So now it's a good time. And yeah, so I think actually keeping it small size allowed me to finish things faster, but actually I kind of regret it a little bit when I saw like some painting by other people in the group and this big picture with crazy brush stroke. I was like, oh, I want to do that. But anyhow, so I can show the picture that I like, and the picture that I don't like, the one that I don't like also right next close to it. So this one is my favorite for the 30 by 30. And this one is a painting of a sunset in San Diego when I visiting my cousin over there. And well, I'm not sure whether you can see, I just closed it. Yeah. And I just like, when I was visiting my cousin, they were just like, oh, let's just go watch the sunset. And they just like, okay, get on the car, go watch the sunset. Like they are going to a supermarket. And I was like, whoa, you can just do that. So that was one crazy moment. And the sunset was pretty great. There was one, this is one that I don't quite not too proud of it. I was trying to create like the fuzzy effect where the paper is really wet and then you put in really thick paint. It sort of looked like that in the first application, but the color was too light. So I go in, that was a mistake. And I tried to correct it. And no, it didn't go that well. So yeah, that's about, I think that's about it. Oh, and also like, if you have any suggestion, I am also happy to hear. Mm-hmm.
I think the cat is a success, really. You know how the first layer worked, which is why you are able to compare with something that you have seen more success with. We have not. So for us, the cat is looking a little grumpy and disappointed that there's no food there. So therefore, there's a story which is very, very hard to get in a static piece. So it's already a win. You went and touched the paper. Yes, we can see that. But despite that, the curve of her foot, the back foot is nice. And I can see it has volume. The front foot is way too static for me, Pao.
Yeah.
But it's a little overworked right now, so it has to go. But the face is very attractive, and that disappointment, I'm interpreting it as a disappointment, right? Because I'm projecting onto an animal who I can't read. But right in the height, visually, in the same latitude of her head, is that chair, which is making its presence known. I need the chair to be pushed back. So to push back, I need to soften the edges of the brown side of the edge. If you push it back, then the cat pushing back will just relatively push the cat forward a little bit. And I want the cat to be closer because it's so juicy and I want to like hold the cat and I want it accessible. So that's the only thing I would make. And obviously I'm talking as if I'm a dog lover, right? So I can touch dogs and they might not do anything, but I know cats probably wouldn't like it.
Oh, me too. I'm a dog lover, and like she wouldn't like it wouldn't let you hold her. So yeah.
Hey, can I jump in on the cat?
Yes.
Sorry, what?
Can I jump in on the cat a bit?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's hard for me to restrain my opinions. I'm terrible about this. So sometimes the problem with drawing from life is the pose is not actually that great. So the cat has got her leg through her other legs. The second leg has this weird diagonal, and the tail is straight down. So the cat's position is maybe not as entertaining as you want in a work of art. So sometimes when I'm drawing the model, I have to move a limb, or particularly the tail. I would suggest if you are stuck with this in the future, then you need to like find another cat that has got a more exciting tail and bring something to your subject, right? So you're like, I have to paint this cat because this is my cousin's cat, but let's not actually paint the part that is kind of dull, right? So the straight leg and then the straight tail is taking motion out of the cat. So I would have given it a little flow, right? So knowing when to cheat and not paint what is really there. So that's all. I love the colors on the sunset though.
Thank you so much for joining, Pao. How did you find out about the challenge?
Yeah. I'm actually not sure. I just popped up randomly on Instagram one day and I was like, oh, looks like fun. So yeah.
Understood. Perfect. You're up next, Yvonne.
Hi. So I've seen this challenge before, and it's a very awkward way to paint for me because I'm more of a control freak and more like a technical style and stuff. And so I from a personality perspective and a job perspective in the IT industry, and so this is very awkward for me, and that's what drove me into it, because if I stay in my comfort zone, and 10 years from now, I'm going to be exactly where I am right now. So I thought, I've done it before once. I did not finish, like what we call finish, doing all 30 of them. But it was awkward enough that I never forget. It's like, oh, this was horrible. So I wanted to do it again, because now, I think it was a couple of years ago that I did that. Now I have more time, and I figured I'm going to do this even if it hurts. And it did hurt, but it's okay. I had to let go of preciousness of paper, preciousness of time. And I was like, I'm just going to go for it. And it started out kind of rough. I had a real tight sketch. And then I decided to redo everything. And then I ended up with this little sketch. But again, you can see that I am still trying to control things, right? I am painting with, I'm sketching with a paintbrush. So I didn't think it was the point of the challenge, because that felt comfortable. Not as comfortable as a pencil, but still kind of comfortable. So then I thought, okay, I'm going in the right direction. And it just derailed from there. It's very hard to fight your urge to be yourself. And so I thought, okay, let's, so I made many that I did not like, but then I started gravitating back to what I thought I needed to be doing to improve. I ended up with this little ice cream cone in here. I originally wanted to do just the cone, and I actually posted it when I only had the cone. And the cone itself I'm fine with, but then you can see the control had to kick in again, and I had to make the building behind. And it is a very colorful building, but I think that perhaps I needed to subdue the background, because now it's competing with the cone, and you end up with a very confusing sketch, in my opinion, because the cone itself is so cool, but that building behind it kind of kills it. But that's part of it. And I started doing loose papers because of what I think I put a comment on one of my posts is like, you make your sketchbook so precious, and you want page after page of these things that please you, that you're trying to get away from, but you still keep repeating that over and over again. So like, let's just get some pieces of paper and go with the flow. Like, this is a pencil, but with color in it. Again, it is direct color, but I don't think that was the point, so I kind of kept going in and out of this mode of looseness and so forth. And the tree, I had that massive tree issue that Mark had in a comment. Thank you, Mark. And I thought it was just so amusing to me. And he goes, well, trees are like this and like that, but not that tree. It just made my day. I was like, he's right. That tree doesn't look anything like a tree. And I don't remember where that one is now, but anyway, oh, this one, this is the tree we were talking about, right? So I kept going back and forth. And then when I was on day 27, I said, like the other gentleman's like, screw this. I can't go back. I cannot be trusted with a pencil. That's the bottom line. I cannot have a pencil in my bag if I want to do direct watercolor. So I left all that at home and I just went in with watercolor. So you're going to have to figure it out because that's all you've got. And I got these little scrap papers and then I just started one at a time. Absolutely no planning. I just looked at something, put my chair down and I said, okay, I'm going to do that bush. And then I would just move my chair. I'm going to do that other bush. So I just kept doing these directly in watercolor. And it is amazing how fast these were. I mean, this is, I don't know, 5-10 minutes, each one of these things. And then I went back to my stupid trees, right? Trying to just look at trees and keep doing it. And until, I mean, I didn't care if I just kept going. And you can see a little bit of an attempt of control at the bottom there. With a little grill.
I love this tree. I love this tree. Yeah.
So
becoming freer and freer.
Kept going and on these, I just kept pulling these papers out. And I was done, right? That day, that was the 27th. But every I don't know if it was a Monday or a Wednesday, there's a free concert in town. And I was like, oh, let me, like classic music. And I was like, oh, let me just sit there and watch it. And I sat there and then there was this mom and baby on the ground there playing. And I was like, well, let's just grab the sketchbook and then let's just, see what happens. And I did actually, my favorite one, which was, I thought, more like what the point was to not control a lot. And the little baby was sitting on this adorable little chair that I've never seen in my life. Like, I didn't know they make that small of a yard chair with a little tray, like a high chair where they eat their food. And this is like a tiny one. And she was there. So I started painting it just like, okay, I'll just splash it around. And then this 3 group of people sat right in front of me between myself and the baby. So I kind of went by memory and I would stand up to look, okay, yeah, the bag is there. This is, and it was, again, 5-10 minutes at the most. But the point I thought was that the more I constrain myself with utensils, art, materials, and time, the looser I get. So when I sit and I take my time, just as an example, okay, since I had already 34 at that point, I didn't feel pressure to produce more of those. Just as an example, this is what I did yesterday. You can see how far my style is from it. That has not, but that's soothing, I think, because it allows me control. And this is not soothing, but it was an enormous amount of fun. And it took a fraction of the time, and I can do these all day, I think. So it is a lesson learned, and it's like, do you want to let go? Do you want to keep on going? But trees are still hard for me, and they're everywhere in Colorado. So I forgot to say, I'm in Colorado, USA. And I tried a little more, like on this one, a photo my daughter took at the lake up north. So the trees are hard, and it's a fight. It's a constant fight. So if you have any hints on anything, especially the trees, I would love to hear, because I think you guys have an amazing style of art, different, and I've always observed your art through the years, and I couldn't miss the opportunity to see you face to face and hear, comments and stuff.
First of all, I applaud you. You are so self-aware and so brave. I have to tell you that I have it easier in direct watercolors because I really like to paint fast. I don't have time, you've realized that when you constrain yourself to one brush, 2 colors, it becomes faster. So the time for gratification, especially when I'm stressed out, is easier to get because you can be stress relieved in 5 minutes. So it's like a release. So you're very self-aware. And I have it easier. So if you had made me do 30 days of portraits, I think I would have been way too frustrated by the end of it. And you are happy, and I see joy. So that's a big win. Your trees, when you said screw it and you started using this loose sheets, which was again really smart. Whatever your limits are or what your limitations are on your practice, you took it out. You realized that the sketchbook was becoming onerous. It was, so you took that out and picked up loose sheets. I saw in those 6 sheets that you went from very tight to loose. And your loose tree, the last 3 actually, you realized that you had to capture the shape of the tree, not the foliage inside. And it became a mass, it became a 3D mass, and your strokes were changing values as you put it. You have to have multiple values in a shape to get volume. As soon as you moved that practice to your sketchbook, you tightened up on the lake sketch, and it again became, it did not become painting tree. It was painting a branch after branch after branch. And that itself, so the words are changing, right? Are you painting a tree or are you painting a branch?
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
That's exactly the mindset I was in. I was like, okay, I have to replicate this tree and the branches go like this. And now there you go. You go into that, I wouldn't say academic, but it's more like an illustration as opposed to a painting or a sketch, right?
Yeah. So sometimes when I teach, I tell people that you're not painting nouns, you're painting verbs. So if you find yourself in a tight position, you have to actually verbalize it. It looks stupid, like you're sitting on the side of the street and you're announcing to the world who's not listening, what is your aim? But you got to tell yourself, I am painting a tree, or I am painting a soft tree. And that's what's important. If you said a soft tree, then your process changes.
Yeah.
Yeah, automatically it changes. You hear it, you realize, oh, I cannot have such a dry paper because it won't look soft. I want a soft tree, I will have to wet it. So the process is dictated by the action, what that thing is going to do for the composition. When you were just doing trees by trees by trees, you didn't have to compose it. Okay, but when it comes on to the composition, then you have to find what is the object of that tree there. What is it doing? Yeah, 1. 2, on the ice cream. The ice cream was fantastic. Being loose does not mean you have to be inaccurate. So having the accurate blue structure behind it is smart. Yeah. And it was not distracting from the ice cream because the ice cream had 4 different colors, which were warmer than the cool background. So it was still a contrast in values, contrast in shape. It was not rectangular. It had a cone-like structure and a round too. It had more darker values, 2 different values compared. In your composition, throughout, including the one with the child, I need more space on the bottom. For my soul, I need more breathing space. I don't want the best thing to eject out of the painting. But that's
I didn't have any room.
So
I ran out of room. I even actually cut the base a little. It's like, oh, I can't believe it.
So that's the only feedback, that if you had pushed it up a little, that would be fine.
Yeah. And the last one I did, I used a sponge for trees because I just became petrified of trees, right? And I did that with Zoom with some friends yesterday, and we used the sponge for the leaves. And I think it worked out better because, you know, I'm not painting branch by branch by branch, but so I'm thinking that I know what I need to change and I'm going in the right direction. It's just I just need to keep repeating that instead of going back to the sketchbook and making.
Yvonne, but I'm going to move to the next person because we're limited for time. Yes. Thank you so much. I was very happy to have you. Suzala, you're up next. And I'm sorry, I'm not giving anybody heads up that they're next.
You hear me? Yes, no?
Yes.
Okay. Hi, Mark. Hi, Uma. Nice to see you guys. This was a momentous month for me. I think I made some really great breakthroughs about midway through the month. I hit about 20, 21 pieces. I think the constraints were really helpful and healthy for me, both having to get ones done more frequently than I normally paint, having to paint in shorter amounts of time in order to get them done. I think that all helped. I also have to say shout out to everybody who participated because I found the most help from seeing everybody else's work. I mean, there were pieces there that I was like, oh shit, that's really good. I have to incorporate something like that. That is so cool. That was great. So, you know, I got only great things to say. This is my third year, but it's really the first year I really participated, I got to say. It's really the first year that I took a big bite. And I was, except for the piece I did while I was sick, I was pretty happy with everything that I did. This piece, I found that I focused way more on volume and creating volume than on details. I let the details go a lot more. I was way better at handling the watercolor.
Ooh.
And I just, I'm a little bit unhappy about the composition on this one, but I love the fact that I was able to blend the colors one to the other. So I don't know, I got nothing bad to say. I just got to keep going.
And the paintings are big, half sheet. Yeah, you and Mira, half sheet. Yeah.
Easier for me because when the smaller you paint, the more you start closing up. I find for me, bigger brushes that I can be more expressive in my strokes and easier. And to the last woman who was talking about that she used her own separate paper instead of in a book, I got to say, guys, it's way cheaper to use your own paper and cut it down than to use a book. And it's also easier carrying out into plein air because now you're only carrying 2 or 3 sheets of paper instead of some enormous book that you're not going to use everything in it. So I stopped doing that a while ago.
The handling on your watercolor is just become loose. I love it. On the half sheet one with the buildings, would you like a critique?
Sure.
I don't need to see it. I've seen it. I thought it was really powerful to put a full building. It takes courage. It takes courage to put the building front and square. Your brushstrokes are big. I just think that 1 or 2 windows could have gone.
Mm.
That's my only thing. And some more perspective brushwork in the sense the top level has to bend more if the bottom level is bending that much. So meaning if you look at your right-hand side, the horizontal lines in the shaded area, the angles have to become steeper as things move away from you. No, in the shaded
here?
That side. So the top of the building has to be much more steep. And if you made it much more steep, that would be a very odd angle. So I would say that the lower floors lines have to become flatter. Yeah, that has to come down. That's bothering me slightly. No. But having and then when you have such a large shape of shadow, it takes real courage to put large shadows and not touch them again. It really, it's one of the hardest things. And you've minimized your palette, it's constrained the number of colors. But even then, if a shadow can move from warm to cool, it gives a sense of distance. Meaning warm to cool or cool to warm, one direction. Mm-hmm. It gives a slight sense of distance, which you sometimes need when the subject is in your face. The reason it's in your face, and that's the feeling you want to give, it's not bad. Like you want to overwhelm the viewer by saying that I'm a huge building. And the left side says it, and the right side, you need to give some respite. So you need some distance so that the person will stay. Right. I mean, the viewer will stay with the painting. That's it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, I get what you mean about the windows, because I don't know if you can see it, but I started leaving them out here. It was like, it's already too late, but I was like in it. I knew what I was wrong, but at that point it was too late.
Yeah, fantastic. This is gutsy. This one's gutsy.
I also have to say one other thing. I've been painting almost exclusively with another woman who has not joined us today. I don't know if she's going to be joining you later. And she does very tight, small line drawings. And she gave it up for this month. And I cannot believe how great her watercolors are looking. They look so much better, so much richer. She's using colors so much more strongly. And I asked her, I say, are you going to switch now? Because these are so great. And she's like, well, for some things. And I was like,
that's great. That's great. Thank you for sharing that story.
That's a great story. Thank you. Yeah. I love to hear that.
Yeah. I'm switching to Anita. Anita is up next.
Yeah. Hi, Mark. Hi.
Hey, wait, I'm just counting quickly. I'm going to count if I've overdone. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now, Anita's my last, and then it's over to you, Mark.
So this year I started pretty late. I was unwell. And the first week I must have started on June 8th. And then some days were a bit of a struggle. I couldn't compete. I couldn't paint every day. So some days were like painting 1 or 2. And I'm glad that I finished all 30. So this time I had decided that I want to paint faster. Obviously, I can't paint as fast as you, Uma. But yeah. And I wanted to use some simple shapes and use more pigment. So kind of I started with this one. These are pretty, they're not very big, but it's fine. So I started with this one. And somewhere down the middle, I went on to this.
Oh, that's great.
Thank you. And this one, I'll show all the paintings, and then I would like to talk about a little bit of it.
Yeah, what went wrong here?
No, nothing is wrong. I just wanted to show the sequence, kind of. I was talking about what I wanted because it's difficult for me to talk and show this.
Okay, okay.
And this is how I kind of progressed.
Fantastic, fantastic.
This one I did quite late in the day, so it was like
awesome.
Yeah, this is my favorite one.
It's classic. Wow.
Thank you.
Okay.
So basically, last year I had a theme. I had done vehicles, which I painted in my parking lot, and this and all the vehicles around here. And this year I felt, midway in the challenge, I felt I wish I had a theme. But now when I look back, when I finished the 30, I feel good. I didn't have a theme, and I just chose random pictures from the internet on references, because I got to play with a lot of different things, with different washes, different techniques. Maybe I use a little bit of atmosphere and mood and stuff like that. So that really helped me. And also I was trying to get away from details and actually not painting the reference as I see it. So when I look back now, I felt that my paintings are nowhere close to the references. I got more bold. In fact, I started using a lot of dry brushwork, and my washes were all mingling with each other. That kind of a thing I didn't expect me to do. So that was a real good thing. It was very freeing for me. And also I had this thing about the first wash. Okay, I used to get frightened of the first wash. It was, I knew that, okay, when it is so light that nothing really can go wrong with it. But I used to wonder how these artists used to just take, just put color and it would just flow, and everything magic used to happen in that first wash. So this time something changed, and I could manage to, let the colors mingle with each other. And really, I'm happy with that. Yeah, and most of all, I felt that all the comments you get, and like how I think one of us said that it's really nice to have this group. It is so supportive and so kind that it allows you to explore more, and you want to come year after year. In fact, I was so unwell, I didn't think I would manage to kind of really, finish and do this challenge, but I had to just jump in, and I'm so glad I did that. Yeah, and I would like a lot of critiques from both of you.
Oh, these were fantastic, really bold brushwork, and you knew you had an image in your head and you were working on a plan. That's what the brushwork shows. Can you put up your first and the second painting side by side?
So the first one and the last one is?
No, first and second. First and second. Whew.
And best is I used all the paper.
Yeah. Keep it. And yeah, don't move. Okay, so we have a Tom, Dick, Harry problem. Tom, Dick, Harry problem is this: you can have Tom or Dick, and Dick and Harry. You cannot have all three of them. The posts on the bottom, I think it becomes therapeutic when you start booking up post after post after post, but or a tree after tree, or a blade after blade, or an umbrella after umbrella. So that needs to go. If there you want to adhere to accuracy, then you have to change the height of the post, or angle it, or something, or change the width. The brushstroke has to go from wet to some variety has to come in if it needs to be there. If it doesn't need to be there, and all you want is those receding posts to take your eye to the building, then just put a stroke.
Yeah.
Just lead people, you don't need. So you have to ask, what is the function of this shape in this composition? What does it have to do? Is its function leading? Then just lead. So, but sometimes not sometimes, every time it's easy for me to say all of this hindsight. It's not my painting. In the moment, it's hard to do that and to do that analysis. I really loved your shadows. They were warm and meaning the shaded side of the building, it was very, very clean. And I know it's clean because to paint at that large size, you have to make very thick mixes on your palette. And you have, and to do that, you have to have a calm, purposeful, emotional state. So I can totally read that. Mary Ellen is saying that light in all your paintings is amazing. I agree. I was slightly disappointed with the bridge going off into the fog kind of painting, because I'm dropping into nowhere. So I need another anchor behind it to know that I will be grounded. But that is, again, my own compositional. So it doesn't have to make sense to you, Anita. And you're a great drawer. You have great drawing skills, and it definitely shows. That was it. I don't remember all of the others to recall. The critic. Thank you so much for joining. And I know there are a couple of groups that formed from within this challenge where people talk to each other routinely, and crit, that was Mark's brilliant idea. And maybe others have started doing it even before Mark said that, but I think that's amazing. It's going to become your own support system as you go ahead. Next up is Judy, and Mark will.
Yeah, okay, I'll take back over. So Judy Cole, are you out there?
Hello.
Hello, nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you. So I've been doing this for 3 years, and I was a music professor for 30 years. And when I was writing albums, they were all very conceptual. And so I've approached this conceptually. The first year I did Icelandic houses, and last year I did seascapes of Ireland, Iceland, and Scotland, places I've lived and loved to travel. And this year I did white farmhouses. I'm a big city girl, transplanted from Colorado now to Missouri, and I really have loved the countryside and the old white farmhouses and barns. So
this sounds perfect for watercolor. Okay, yes, I remember this one. So the brilliance of a white subject, no pun intended, is that you can do the reserved white. So I really like how you've simplified it into a silhouette. It's very modern, very interesting take on it. And then you can just focus on these windows, if I might say, because of your musical background, maybe allows you to be more abstract in your thinking. So yep. Yeah. So then where you've got all these blends going in the sky and the lovely bleed of color coming out of the trees. Was that, did you do that on purpose to get the green in the sky?
I just let it do whatever it was going to do.
Yeah,
I love line and I love architecture, and you'll see that this is by far the loosest painting I did. There were 2 of these real loose ones I did. I love line, but I decided to just go all in on this one and let it be what it was going to be, and I loved it.
I really like the contrast between the simplified house, the austerity of it, and then letting the color in the sky have these accidental blooms, intentional accidents, happy accidents, right? So then you have two aspects of direct watercolor and wet in the same painting. So yeah, very successful. That one's very nice.
Thank
Great
you.
postcard as well. Nice size.
Yeah, these are the little Fabriano.
Even they are literally the postcards. Yeah.
They're fabulous. And I make my own handmade sketchbooks, but I decided to use these this year and I love the paper. It's been great. So here's one.
Okay, this has a little more of a New England feel to me because of the colors. So,
yeah, and so I did about half of these were direct observation, half of them were from photographs, and some were from summer and some were from winter. So different times of year. I think I have a couple of springs in
here. You a chance to do other colors.
Yep.
So let's see. Critique-wise, something to think about is when the horizon is right through the exact center of the composition, it's a little formal. So it becomes, some people feel it's a stiffening thing. Yeah. I like a high horizon because I like to be drawn deeply in towards the horizon, like a perspective thing. So it's something to think about because then it leaves you a lot of sky here. So I find the tall tree, there's just a lot of tree up there. If I crop the painting, it's more interesting to me because then it's about the house less than about the tree.
Okay.
So
yeah, and I usually don't put those in the center, so that was a strange one.
That's a thing. And then your foreground leads. I like the marks in the foreground and doing something with that big shape. If there's a way to get the foreground marks to be a path that comes back to the house, so they right now lead off the side. So if the dry brushes, I literally think like a little imaginary path I'm walking that will go right to the subject, take me to the door. So those are just like, tips, but the, I like how each of these has its own color space. Yeah. So I'm going to say the one I like the best is your first one because it really is the most painterly. This one is a little cuter.
Yeah. And I just, I love line. So I'm just drawing with my brush here.
Oh, you wouldn't know because the way you do the trees is very painterly here. That tree being the colored shape with variety in the shape, but you didn't try to draw branches, as we were saying before. So I would never guess you were line obsessed. Like I used to draw cloud shapes with a pencil line and fill them in. That's obsessed with line. So yeah, good work.
Thank you. And then this is the last one, which was sort of a combination of drawing with the brush and then some happy little explosions, which I planned. I wanted to see what that would be like, painting the wet into wet. So that was lots of fun, but also having the architectural detail there. So that was a fun one.
Payne's gray or neutral tint.
No, it's a combination of Indian throne blue and burnt umber.
Really? Okay. All right. So I wouldn't have guessed. Maybe it's a little bluer on my screen. It looks like maybe indigo. So some of these blues really love to float. I find sometimes. So the thing I like best about this one is the reserved whites in the sky. Those little just subtle hints of clouds. And there's to me, a little bit of pinkish undertone in the sky. So I like that delicacy as compared to the house. Yeah. These are a nice little series. I like to see a project. It's good when people have structure and they have a project because then when they look at their pieces, it makes a beautiful set, right?
Absolutely.
So, so thanks for having that.
Thank you.
As a musician, I know you know how to study. All the people in the world, musicians know how to practice, and artists are notorious for just doing whatever they feel like, which would not work in music, right?
Right.
Today, I feel like not even using notes, so I like to see some discipline applied to art. It's good.
Thank you.
Okay, all right, Dawn, you're the last for today. Do we have that, Dawn Crote?
Crote, thank you, Mark.
Okay, sorry.
No worries. Absolutely no worries. I'm flattered to be invited. This is my first year, and just excited about everyone's participation and really overcome by the support. So thanks, everyone.
Yes, that's the strength of the group. I love it too. I only started this so that I could have that, what you're getting. Yeah, great.
This is kind of my favorite. This is the only half sheet I did because, like most other people, I realized I could abbreviate and paint more product when I went to a quarter sheet. But
Yes.
Of all the planning and of all the mark making and all the combination of things that make a painting, I got the most out of the process into this piece.
Yeah. Okay. So there's a lot of things I like about this. This is a great piece. You're not a beginner painter, obviously. Obviously, right? Like, do you paint a lot in watercolor, or?
I do. I'm an architect by trade, so I'm in love with drawing. So right. The minute Uma said you're not going to be able to draw, I kind of thought, I can do this, and I can immediately see the value of planning a la prima. So I was drawn to the process and felt like I got more out of it.
Great, good. Yeah, it's whoever it was who said that they had to physically leave their pencil at home. That is what I had to do. The only way I could start this was to actually not have a pencil with me. So in that painting of yours, I like how you've organized the space. The background up the hillside there is all in a higher key. So it's just washed in sunlight and it brings us more focus. Hold your piece up so we can see while I'm chatting at it. So that's great. Like there's just these three sets of space, the background, midground, and the very foreground. I love the reserved whites on the cars. You let the inside of the open hatchback there just be kind of a mess, but the light of the rim of the car that's sharp really says it's a machine, right? As compared to the nature around it. So that was great work. And then all these hats on the people that mark their heads. These are really great whites. They really do the drawing. Even that you have a little white on the top of each of those posts, there's really good control of what to leave out of your shapes. So that's amazing. And I love this big diagonal shadow that goes across the whole painting, which I'm going to say you made up, right?
Absolutely.
Yes. So if we go back to the one of the Capitol, the reflecting pool towards the monument, the very first lady, sorry, that was Marie-Hélène, wasn't it? That's what I was going to say, is sometimes a made up shadow is a graphic shape that she had this bleached out foreground, right? So you have this, the fence line in front of us. Okay, that was Mira. Sorry, that was Mira. So you have that line with the fence, and then you have the diagonal of your shadow, and then you have the diagonal, shallow diagonal of the background, right? So these repeating kind of wave-like shapes. Great composition. I can tell you're not a beginner painter because of those tricks. That's a perfect example for everybody. Yeah, it unites the people with the lake, that diagonal. So good. That's a good trick. I know that the big famous guy, Joseph Zbukvik, big famous watercolorist, he's always painting a big shadow across the lower foreground like you've done there to give us a framing element. So the scene is kind of in the stage. So yeah, great work.
All the guys from Melbourne have that flamboyance, and that we all know Andy Evenson's ability to connect. So if I feel for 1 minute things aren't connected, I can usually pull a painting together by making something like that up, just in exactly the way you described, Mark.
Yes, yeah, using design to pull it together. Yeah, connect, that's a very good point. The ability to connect the shapes so your eye goes from the little subjects of the people to the bigger subject. Yeah, very good. Mira said thank you in the notes there. So I just want to say this is the thing about doing this as a group. Like we see your painting and it has something that another person, that's the tip that the person needed. It's in your painting. We couldn't possibly come up with all these answers, but looking at everyone together gives us that encyclopedia, right? This teamwork knowledge. Yeah, very good, very good. Yeah,
thank you, Mark.
Yeah. I hope you come back next year. All right, so yeah, this was great. I mean, thank you guys for signing up. I'm glad it didn't fill up with 50 people. That's great because we had a little more time to get to know everybody. Oma, what do you think? Closing thoughts?
Yeah, I feel everybody buoyed us up with their work, and very disciplined crowd. I'm disappointed to know that we are not as good as the music professors and their ilk. But
No, come on, musicians know how to train. If artists trained like musicians, the world would be completely different. I think I have to resent all those instructors from the 60s that just started smoking weed and stopped teaching us.
This was fantastic. And it's such a, I mean, if I look at the set of people here, they're all strong artists. They're exceptionally strong artists, and they came with a purpose and stuck through. And I'm very sure none of them are going to stop. So I think each of their works is either going to become a project or something more. I feel it's like,
if we could go to
something's gonna.
If we could go to a workshop in Italy and have this group, it would be amazing, right? It would never happen. The chance of getting all of these people that are so inspired together, this is the only way that we can do it, right? And you guys are all self-selected. You said, I'm going to do this crazy thing for an entire month, right? So you're all the best student in the workshop because most people wouldn't do it. So it's really terrific that we have this ability to do this nowadays. Yeah.
Good point. Self-selected. They all like a little pain. Yeah.
Yeah. Yes. Whoever it was saying it was torture, but it's the pain that you want. Yeah. That's good.
Well, thank you so much, everybody.
And I will kind of plug through and see if I can finish the 30.
Yes, I hope you're feeling better.
Yeah, thank you, Mark and Uma, for taking the time to do the critique. I know you're busy people, so I really appreciate it.
I don't know. Nice to meet everyone. I wish we could do
more. Thank you very much.
Bye-bye.
Okay. All right. Goodbye, everyone. See you guys.
Bye.